Welcome back to the Command Stack. I'm John, and today I have with us...
I'm Garrett.
I'm Ryan.
Ken was not able to join us tonight. He has a bounty on his name after his run-in on Ord Mantell, so he has to go deal with that. But we're going to continue on without him. All of our schedules have been really, really busy this last month. So it's been a challenge to get together to cover this next podcast. So we're excited all to be here, and we're going to start off. I'm going to kick it over to Garrett, and he's going to tell us what's been happening with Armada news.
Okay, so first thing is Worlds is officially announced, and it'll be taking place in 2023 at Adepticon. And I think that goes for all the AMG games. And so it's nice to have it in lock. Armada is still official organizational play, Worlds involved. So the rapid reinforcements got a small errata for Hera. She is now, her card got made a little bit more versatile. Now it says, while a friendly squadron that has escort is at distance 1 to 2, it has adept 1. And I think that changed from if it is activated, is that right?
Yeah,
I can't remember the old one anymore.
Her wording was, when Hera activates, friendly squadrons at distance 1 of her with escort gain adept 1.
Yes.
Which is very wordy. And I, for one, thought it would be better as a bubble. Keeping track of what was where when it activated is a lot to keep track of in a game that's already a lot to keep track of.
So that's a lot better, a lot more useful. I hope to see her more on the table. I don't think I've ran into that card yet. And then the command stack, all of us are going to be at Gen Con. So it'll be exciting to meet some of you all there, and we'll be participating. And is this the international team competition on Tabletop Simulator?
Yeah,
has 100+ players. Ryan, is that correct? That's a lot.
That's it. We have 20. This is a second year running it. We got 28 teams. Ken and I are playing in it on different teams, and we have 108+ players, give or take a few. And then, so if you're looking to just watch, some games being played, it's pretty much constant streaming of the tournament. So come to the tabletop, the TTS Discord, and they're all being streamed. So
excellent. And then of course,
next 20 days or so.
Next 20 days, okay. And then I wanted to say the next 2 Armada Grand Championships, or next 3, I guess, are Gen Con. We've got the Nova Open over in Northern Virginia, and then in Germany, German Nationals. So those are all coming up relatively quickly, within weeks. I think that's all the news we have for now. No word on that summer organizational play kit with the Ma Maelstrom. So as soon as we hear about it, I mean, everyone will know. So what do you say, Ryan?
Soon.
Yeah, soon.
Did anyone play the Destiny event? Or did anyone know of anyone who did it? It's
no, there was zero interest in the rule outline. I would rather play anything else.
Kind of poorly executed. I just don't think there's much interest from the community. For the listeners who don't know, it's just about a week before the event, to kind of coincide with the mini extravaganza for AMG. They put out like a special rules, and really they just get shot down pretty quickly by the community, and there's not a lot of interest in it. So
yeah, I don't want them to stop. And we even had like an extension because they postponed mini extravaganza. I just think instead of making up interesting rules to add, we just need more scenarios, like a Battle of Endor or something, or like a Smuggler's Run, something really simple that doesn't change the rules of the game, but adds a different objective. Yes. So if anybody from AMG is listening, that's what we want. You don't need to change the game much to make it interesting. We just want scenario play because people want that narrative.
X-Wing just came out with their Battle of Yavin kind of set. Like, Armada, there's plenty of space battles that could fit into something like that. So just,
Yeah, and if you're going to make rules, please read through them first and run them past the people that know how to play the game, because some of the rules you're reading through and you're like, this can't even like function. I would have to change so many different things just to get it like close to what it is. It was like,
yeah, the min-max potential was outrageous.
Man. And then like
you could
some
take
of the
advantage.
stuff was like take off a card, put on a card, take that card, look for a different card, then shuffle the deck, and it's like none of this is written for any of the rules as it functions.
I don't know of a single game that was played across Legion, Armada, or X-Wing. To be honest, I just don't think it was that popular.
I didn't hear anybody. Did anybody watch the stream? I think they had a painting thing for us, and that's all I know. Repainting the victory, I think, is what they were doing, and the Providence.
Was it pink?
I don't think so. I think they tried to make it look like the card. I think.
That's funny. I want to jump back real fast to some of the aspects in the news.
Yeah.
I'm really excited that, well, one, living in Chicago, that Adepticon is going to be Worlds. I think it makes a lot of sense for it being in a central location in the country of the United States. And then it's also attached directly to an international airport. So if we do have people that are coming in from out of the country, it should be an easy access point for them and an easy access point for people to travel to.
It's nice. Those are good points. It's nice since it's an established con that it's being paired with. Adepticon's not going anywhere. And it's anchored by Warhammer and those types of games too. So it's finally maybe we got some consistency to look forward to. But yeah, next to Chicago, the airport, I think we should expect a lot of international players to come, and that'd be great.
Yes, it would be. It's still not known yet if there's going to be a last chance qualifier. I know right before the pandemic hit, Worlds was also going to be at Adepticon, and the day before the actual Worlds competition, there was going to be a last chance qualifier, but that never took place. So there's still a lot of questions up in the air about how this is all going to proceed, because if you won a large tournament, previously there wasn't enough world tickets that were given out. So maybe after like almost 2 years of Worlds tickets being honored, there'll be enough for the competition, and that's relying on everyone showing up. So I'm hoping that they have a last chance qualifier there.
Yeah, me too. I think
they probably will.
I hope. We're just not really sure. We just don't know what their philosophy is yet on what they want their worlds to look like. Do they want it to be just like, a top 32 event, kind of thing, where it's just, elite players, or do they want a nice, huge kind of celebration of the game kind of event where it's 100 plus players, slugging it out? So we don't really know, and we're just going to have to find out. I don't know of any Armada players who want it to be small. I'll tell you that. I think everyone wants it, who wants and is going to spend the money to go, like people want to do this. So they want to spend money to go, and, let us play. Yeah. For people without Worlds tickets like myself who would go.
Yeah. The last time there was a Worlds I attended, and I believe day one of the competition was near like 90 people that showed up for it. And it was amazing to have that many people playing Armada at once. I think that was like one of the largest tournaments of all time for Armada. And personally, I think that a world type event should be like a celebration of Armada and should be a big event, not necessarily a small one. But that's my opinion. So that doesn't really matter that much. So
I think it'll be fine. I mean, they seem to be really willing to work with the organizers to let them structure it how they want to. So I think they'll take the feedback, and then, hopefully if Legion does well, maybe we'll have to piggyback off their success and like the resources AMG sends to Adepticon, right? We'll be able to ride that Legion gravy train.
Yes, I would agree with that. And then also the exciting news that all four of us are going to be at Gen Con. And it's been a couple of years since I've been to Gen Con. Have either of you ever attended Gen Con before?
Yeah, Garrett and I were at the last one in 2019.
Yeah, 2019. Yeah,
it's so long ago.
I know. It was like the last one, but it seems forever.
Yeah, the last time I attended was in 2018, so I missed you guys by a year. So it's going to be fun to get back there and be in a large tournament. I believe we checked right before this podcast started. There's roughly 30 people that have signed up, and there's still roughly 30 tickets to go.
Yep. So if you're interested in going, get your tickets.
Yeah, I personally know a couple of people here locally who haven't got the tickets yet, who are going. So hopefully it sells out.
They need to get onto that before they.
I know.
That's a long trip to go without securing that ticket yet.
There's a big group in Dayton and Chicago where you're at, so all those people are within driving distance. So
yes. I was just with some people over this last weekend, and a lot of them are going to be going, which will be fun to go. I swear, every time I go to a major tournament, it's like, I could have played you at home, I get you first round, and then the second round, someone else I could have played from home. So hopefully that doesn't happen, or we don't have like a command stack slaughter the first round, like we all get paired up against each other.
That's inevitable at this point. We're going to be matched
just the way it goes.
100% I'll be playing Ken because he's the only person I ever really play. So, okay, so let's now get into the meat of our episode, and we're going to be talking about the Battle of Hoth, and I'm going to kick that over to Ryan. I believe you were one of the organizers that helped run this event.
Yeah, so I was the TO for this one. For a bit of background, TTS is one of the major online systems to play Armada. So last year, kind of at the beginning of the year, me and a couple other people who ran tournaments online, we formed what we call the Galactic Council. We know about the name, the Galactic Council. Well, we just have fun with it. And so we just decided to put on major tournaments for TTS. So this was the second year running the Battle of Hoth. And so each year we've had over 50 players. And so we've had, this year we had 56 players. It was 5 rounds of Swiss. So kind of, pure Armada, if you will, no cuts, just, how do you do over 5 rounds? And it's a good event. So we hold, it's considered one of the TTS majors, in quotes. So like golf has 4 majors. This is one of the majors for TTS. It's the Battle of Hoth. The ITC is the other one, and then Assault on Endor next fall is our other big major. So so that's what's going on with that. If you guys are ready to talk about the top 4. Okay.
So just real fast. So after 5 rounds of Swiss, there's no other cut. It's just 5 rounds of Swiss.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. So in 4th was Yik, who is an excellent player. He was flying what I consider an A-tier list, double Onager with Rogue. So he was flying Onager testbed with Ramadi, and on the first Onager he had Vanto, sensor team, he had medical team, orbital bombardment cannons, red beam, and they had Raquel, which is interesting. We don't see Raquel. It lets you do the speed 0 maneuver, so you can just shoot back, keep turning, and you're not going to get any closer. So it's probably buys you an extra turn to fire it. The next Onager testbed had Beck on it, which is another interesting officer, and she gives you flexibility with tokens. Sensor team, medical team, and then again red beam, and then Yik had 1 Gazanti with Darth Vader for rerolls, and then munitions resupply. So we're looking at 3 activations there, which is fine for Onagers. And then he had a nasty squad ball of Bosk, Merrick Steele, Colonel Jendon, 2 fire sprays on Hondo Anaka for 124 points of squads, coming in at 399. Yik did tell me that he only played second player once, that most people actually had bid on him, and that they wanted him to go first, which is kind of odd. I would normally think when you're playing Onagers, you want to go first, take your shots, get out of the arc. But that's and he also wanted me to relay to everybody that he thought the Onager was too strong. So take that for what you will. But he's one of the best players in the world, and he thought the Onager was too strong. His objectives were Ion Storm, contested outpost, and its navigational hazards was actually the fourth one. I know we have it pulled up differently, but it was navigational hazards.
Let me switch that over. Navigational hazards, you said?
Yep.
Okay.
And we haven't talked about navigational hazards before, and it's a very rarely played objective, but it's pretty fun. I think if you play quick enough, it's basically every turn the players alternate moving the objectives, the obstacles, 1 to 2. So you're moving them all over the place, and he uses it to pair with Ramadi, which is kind of ingenious, I think, to get the obstruction and get that extra red die. So it's a really nasty obstacle. Plus, it gives you points if someone. It helps you take down those heavier ships to throw asteroids underneath them, so that they roll over next turn. So that's kind of where we are. So what do you guys think of those objectives?
I prefer Doom Station. I don't know.
What do you think of the list first? How about that? What do you guys think of the list?
So the things that stand out for me for the list is that like you said, you don't really see Raquel very often. But with this list, he has he puts down his Gazanti, then 3 more activation or 3 more deployments of Sky Fighters, his generic Onager, and then his flagship. I imagine his flagship's going to be way off in the other side, so that you're fighting his main fleet and he's just rotating the Onager, shooting like across the table into you as you go after his other fleets. That's how I kind of picture that all going down. But all of his ships have token control because of Beck and Vanto and things like that. So he can pretty much like navigate and con fire in every single turn. And that's pretty much what you want to be able to do with an Onager. His rogues are mean. Like, if you don't have squadrons, like, I feel like there's a lot of people that are running squadless right now. And if you run up against this, his squads are going to eat you alive. So,
yeah,
I think
we're talking 12 dice a turn with squads.
Yes. Yeah.
With the Gendon double tap. It is nasty. I mean, so you gotta. It's a good. You don't see Imperial rogues very much, so it pairs really nicely with the Onagers because they have a little bit more standoff power. And if you're gonna run from the Onagers, he's just gonna chase you down with the rogues, and it'll be ugly.
Yes, it is.
And also, like PDIC is not gonna do anything to this fireball. He's totally fine. If you want to bring PDIC, he's probably still gonna do 2 damage every turn.
Correct.
Every shot.
I guess you hope that Bosk is the one attacking you because he's the only not bomber. I mean, that's really the highlight of everything there. So I think the list is very good overall. You have a fighter contingency that you don't need to do anything with, and it can do everything by itself. And then you have 2 Onagers to melt whatever is left.
Yeah, it's tight and efficient. My favorite part's the squadron ball. I love rogues. So, but I just want to say it's funny. It's like there's so many medical teams in the top 4. All these ships. It's cheap, but I don't know. You just don't see them very often. But I mean, yeah. It's just good. Exactly what you said. That munitions resupplying that Gazanti, feeding those Onagers, and then man, it's just it would be fun to play, but not fun to play against.
Yes, I would agree with that.
You're just stuck in the pond, and he's just taking giant shots at you. And then there's a bunch of piranhas chasing you with the squadrons. I don't know. Yeah, it's great. I
mean, the squadron ball is not unbeatable. Like if you have your own, but you got to have a lot, right? You got to have over 100 points of dedicated anti-squad. His flak's not great, right? So you can win the squadron war.
Yeah, but you're going to win the squadron battle, but it's honestly going to be a tie. Right. It's pretty strong. I mean, you're not going to gain anything. Like, you're just going to trade your squadrons.
Yeah.
And he's still going to blow your ships up. Yeah. I like the sensor teams on both the Onagers. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It relies heavily on being able to row well, so I wouldn't do well with this fleet. But yeah, if 2 shots per turn with Onager. Recently when I played, actually not recently, it's been a couple months now, I played a Sloniger list in a local tournament. And while I do think the Onager is very powerful and very broken, there is a limit to it. And I took a little bit flack because when I went over the fleet, I was saying I just couldn't kill everything on the opponent's side because they had 3 larges. And I mean that as like a strategy sense. Like, it's going to take 2 shots minimum to kill a large ship with an Onager a turn. So if you figure you're probably not going to get a good shot the first turn, and that means you're probably only going to be able to kill 2 heavier fleet assets in a game with the Onager if they don't kill you first. So against certain fleet types, you can't actually kill enough to counter that. So having 2 Onagers, though, that means that you can pretty much wipe out any heavy asset fleet that's coming at you. Like, I've seen a lot of like double Imperial Star Destroyers recently, and like a double Onager list melts one before it gets to you, and then they can just turn over and take care of the other one, and you probably lose one of the Onagers. So double Onager, like single Onager is already good, but there's a limit to how much it can kill. Double Onager, it pretty much can kill anything that they move towards you.
Yeah. I mean, the best defense is still at the thermal shields with the CIS, because they're going to half your dice, and then they're going to throw a bucket of dice back at you.
Yes.
So, and that's why they're in the top 2 here. So
I would agree with
4.
that. So for objectives, I would probably say I would pick probably Ion Storm. And that is because I would give up less points. Navigational hazards with Rami would mean that I would just be all the time probably running over stuff and giving obstructed shots, which I wouldn't want to do. In Contested Outpost, I don't know if I could push 2 Onagers off of an outpost, having to fly through a rogue ball. I think that would be a huge challenge. And by the end of the game, I would give up more points. But Ion Storm, realistically, because he doesn't have like that first shot, I think overall I would be able to negate like at least the first turn. Second turn, I give out points. Third turn, I give out points. And by then I'm running engineering, so then it doesn't matter. And it'll be across the board the rest of it. So I think that would be the safest option, but I could be wrong. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
I think with Ion Storm is an interesting interaction with Raquel, because he just parks it by an obstacle and just keeps turning. It's pretty interesting. I would probably take nav hazards because I don't see it a lot and I enjoy it. I really enjoy that objective. Even though like he would automatically get the extra Ramadi dice, you still get to move an obstacle as first player, you know? So you can those Onagers are big, right? Like choose the non-Raquel Onager and just put obstacles in front of it, and maybe you'll get lucky once or twice at the game. And I think I'd be able to avoid the obstacles, so I wouldn't be giving victory points to him. But I think I take nav hazards.
But I'll take nav hazards because he's got to pick whether he wants to obstruct or if he wants to move something so I run into it. So then I can move something so he runs into it. You know, he has to pick one. I have to collide, or that he has to get an extra dice. And plus, most Ramadi players are already going to get their extra dice if they're experienced. So, and I feel like nav hazard, I can at least use it somewhat to my own advantage. But I mean,
just be quick. I just want to say this is a public service announcement. When you play nav hazards, just be quick. Like, just don't spend all day, because you're going to be moving the obstacles every turn. Just move it. It's fine. It's a game. Don't overthink it. Just move it 1 to 2 and move on. Like, only 3 of the obstacles end up mattering in the game anyway.
That is very true.
I feel the same with squadrons. Just drop it. It's okay.
Just move it. Fine. Play faster, guys. That's what. All right. So that's Yick. Got fourth. Congrats, Yick.
What was his final score? And do we have that? Should have asked this earlier before we started the podcast, but I was just curious of what the final score is, because if it was 5 rounds of Swiss, so maximum points for the tournament, if you did amazing, would be 50. So what did fourth place get?
He went 4-1 and got 36 points.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was a tight tournament. Like a lot of 36. The player who got fifth got 34, so he cleared it, by 2 points. But
especially for a tournament that you said had over 50 players in it. So
yep.
that's pretty good. And then Garrett, were you doing the next?
Yeah, I'm going to talk Mako 109. He also went exactly 4-1 with 36 points, but his margin of victory was like 34 points higher. Or no, what is that? 70-ish points. Yeah. But he flew Martuk CIS fleet. I just love these CIS fleets. I keep flying Luminara myself with the Republic, but I have this friend locally who plays CIS, and I just want him to throw as many dice as possible. And it's a Patriots Fist Martuk Recucent fleet, and that's the real animal here. But anyways, to get into this, so he's at 399. His Recucent does not have Martuk in it, because he knows that's going to be the target, and he's got Martuk on a Munificent, but the Recucent's got Shumai, which allows you to pick 2 non-consecutive rounds to reroll. It's got Ord Experts, APTs, Swivel, and Patriots Fist. So, and with that rectangular front arc, swivel up there, pointed at the enemy, and you're throwing, what is that, 4 reds, swivel and a black, 2 blues for Patriots at medium, and this thing is just awful.
Confire, another one in,
yeah. It's horrible. Oh, and then another red for Martuk. And this can one-shot a lot of ships if they get the accuracies. And then he's got his flagship is a Munificent Star Frigate, and it's got Martuk, skilled first officer, medical team, of course, thermal shields, which is every large dice pool's worst enemy, and then Pittix, of course, and then Link Turbo Laser Towers. And then he has another Munificent, which has Tykes. I feel like I have to read this card every time I look at it, because it's so wordy. When you reveal a command, you may place a matching command token on this card. If you do, gain a command token of your choice. And then during the command phase, you have a command
you're
token.
Not reading it. Don't
read it. Oh man,
I love reading it. You get
all right.
You get a free
Anyways,
token.
look up Tykes. He's a wordy guy. Engine Text to get that extra movement. Thermal shields again. Pittix, LTT, and then Sa Nalor, which of course adds that evade that you can use instead of one of your regular tokens. And then he's got another hard sell battle refit, who's got Beast of Burden, which is that title that allows you to spend your defense tokens and ready the defense tokens on another ship. And then he's got LTTs. And this thing is just throwing red dice after red dice after red dice. And then for his objectives, he's got Advanced Gunnery, Contested Outposts, and Doom Station, which are all great for what he's got going on here. What do you guys think about this list? I love it. I mean, it's a pretty typical Martuk list. But
it's always nice to see squad lists do well. Mako is a newer player, but he's played well in this tournament, and he made squad lists work, which is always a feat in and of itself.
So
yeah, I mean, I just think the CIS squads just aren't the best. So throw all the points into ships, and it works so good.
Also, I feel like the CS and GAR have clearly the best flak in the game. And like, if you look at this ship, the Recucent's going to be doing Patriots Fist thing, so it's never going to be flacking, right? So it doesn't matter. But both the Munificents are double dice flak with LTT. And then the battle refit is also double flak with LTT. So you pretty much can say, I would like that squadron to die, and without rolling in Confire, you could roll 12 dice against a single squadron a turn if you really needed to eliminate a squadron out. So this is a pretty brutal flak bubble that you could cause here. And then you just let Patriot's Fist march out and take care of all the ships while you just sit there and kill all the squadrons.
Patriot's Fist is the flanker, right? Like, more than likely, just if you fly MSU, Patriot's Fist is just going to eat up MSU with what it's doing. One deleting ships. If you're flying big ships, Mark Took dice start to add up after a while. Like it's a really nice, kind of come all takers, all very versatile fleet.
Yes, I enjoy swivel mounted batteries on RecuSense. I usually play it in TF fleets because just launching all those dice long range is pretty awesome. So I'm sure he was putting out a lot of firepower with this. My biggest question, and so if you look at his objectives, he has advanced gunnery. Which ship do you think he's putting advanced gunnery on?
What do you think, Garrett?
Probably his non-admiral Magnificent Star Frigate, the Tykes one.
I think he puts on Patriot's Fist.
You think so?
Just for the firepower. It's cheap, right? It's not an expensive Patriot's Fist. So even if he loses it...
That's a good point. It's only 40 points extra.
80...
Does it double it?
Yeah, he
doubles it. Yeah, that's true. Because the Magnificent's 73.
It's not the Starhawks and the advanced gunnery that are super expensive. It's a relatively cheap. So for the massive amount of firepower... Well, wait. Patriot's Fist wouldn't... Does Patriot's Fist work?
No, if you choose to Patriot's Fist, you can't shoot twice.
That's okay. That's
right.
what. Yeah.
So maybe not. Yeah.
But like at the same time, you have that threat there of double swivel mounting into the same target, and I think I would take that over Patriot's Fist. Like you can choose to Patriot's Fist after you roll the initial attack,
That's
and
true.
after see what you get. But otherwise, it's like, okay, cool. I will just throw. Basically, because if you still have shields, 5 more reds and a black dice at you again. And especially if you have a confire. So the first attack is going to be 4/5 reds with Martuk, a black dice, added another black dice, trigger APT, see what happens. You can pause there. And then the last thing you do with the ship before you move on to your second attack is you're count your damage. Do I need an accuracy? Patriot Fist in, done. Or, okay, that's pretty good. I'm going to let you take that damage, and then I'm going to do it again. And they might use it like that, but I'm also with Garrett. I think the engine tech on the Munificent is to get the gunnery team into a good position to go off into another ship. But he has multiple options, so you can just see what he's facing and decide from that.
Shumai is an interesting upgrade too. There, I'm not sure we ever talked about Shumai, but it's lets you you put 2 non-consecutive turns down on the card, like 2 and 4, 3 and 5, and you get to reroll all your dice for every attack that turn. So it pairs well with advanced gunnery, pairs well with Patriot's Fist. So really fishing for doubles on those reds.
I'm terrible. Whenever I've used, I believe it's a her or him, and I always guess the wrong round. 100%. I will not need a single reroll on the turn that I place it down on, and then on the turns that I didn't place it down on, I get all blanks. So it's a card I avoid, not necessarily because it's a bad card. It's just I have terrible luck with it. Like Garrett said earlier, it's interesting that this list also has medical teams. It's a rarely seen card, and then we're 2 for 2 so far in our lists.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's totally fine. It's just weird. I mean, it's just 1 point, so why not?
Yeah. So if you were going up against this list, which objective would you take? Advanced Gunnery, Contested Outpost, or Doom Station, and why?
I got mine, Garrett. Do you have yours? Or
Well, you go ahead. Let me think.
I think I take Advanced Gunnery. Recusants can be killed. And I just hate the idea of giving my opponent. I'm not knocking 2 munificence off of a contested station or a contested outpost or a doom station. So I think I take advanced gunnery, go all in on whatever ship he puts it on. I'd be a little sad if he put it on the Star Frigate because it probably wouldn't be worth very much in the end. But all of those ships individually can be killed. You're not going to table it, though. I feel like there's just not enough firepower probably in any one fleet to table them. So that would be my strategy. Whether it would work or not, I don't know.
This just popped in my head. Wouldn't it be funny if he puts it on the battle refit? And here's why. Here's why, though. It's throwing just as many dice out of its front arc as pretty much any of the other ships.
That's such a good point.
True. I don't
You're rolling 5 with Mark Sook
I
and
don't think he's
Confire.
good.
But it would be funny. And I like funny.
It would be funny.
So that's what I would do. That would be fun. No, honestly, I would probably pick advanced gunnery too. And like you said, 2 munificence on top of an outpost with the thermal shields would be very difficult to push off. It's just handy in points. So advanced gunnery gives me, I think, the best shot at doing it. What makes it hard, though, is if he puts it on something like the Recusant, the phrasing of how the card works as first player, you can't attack the same hull zone from the same hull zone again. So with that giant arc out the front, it's going to be extremely difficult to actually get 2 shots on it unless you can flank around it and get like into its like side to hit the front and the side at the same time. So you just have to know that going into it.
Locally, every time I've been presented with advanced gunnery and I don't take it, I always regret it. It always seems so much worse than when it's happening on the table, because the other ones are just annoying token generators, or the obstacles are moving around on you. I don't know. I think advanced gunnery would be the one. And then whenever we ask these questions, I always have to think of stuff like, but what am I flying? Am I flying a ship that would test it outpost him to the moon, right? Like, am I taking a couple of big heavy, or like a Starhawk, or a couple of...
Yeah, but even if you had a Starhawk, you're still not going to be able to bully them off the contested outpost because it's going to take you like 4 turns to get to it.
I think the Munificents are going to run because if they get caught, it's a problem for them.
Yeah.
I should say this tournament, I don't know, I forgot to say it, was pre rapid reinforcements.
I wonder why I didn't see any Anakin.
So
Okay.
he had we started the tournament like 2 days later, rapid reinforcements came out. So we decided just to plow ahead. So he might do most wanted if he had a Gazanti now.
That is true.
To throw in there, he might go a little lighter on the upgrades to get that 5th activation. But that's in there too.
You could downgrade the hard sell, drop the title and engine tech, and maybe skilled officer and medical team, and you'll get pretty close to a Gazanti right there.
I think you could drop swivel mounts, honestly, and give you another 8.
And drop 2 mines.
Swivel mounts. Yeah, you could easily drop upgrades on this and get to a point that you could add a Gazanti into it. I would agree with that. And if you're running Martuk, you don't really need... Like, CIS doesn't really need heavy upgrades to function decently. So dropping those upgrades and adding additional activation, I think, actually would work very well for this fleet with most wanted. Just more red dice. Here's a red dice, add a red dice, add another red dice. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what Mako does the next tournament, because he's a dedicated CIS Martuk Munificent player, and so I'm sure he'll tinker with the fleet a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Are we ready to move on to second place?
Second place.
Okay. So second place is brought to us by McGill, and this is also a CIS list. It's going to look very similar to what we just saw, with just slight changes in upgrades and things like that. So The cornerstone of this fleet is also Recusant Light Destroyer. It has Teaks on it, and Garrett already read most of the card, but it basically is you're going to get an extra token by doing some shenanigans. And like him, even when it's in my fleet, before I use it, I always pick it up to reread it to make sure that I'm doing it properly because it's just a very wordy card. It also has Ordnance Experts, Assault, Proton Torpedoes, Swivel Mount. 2 for 2 for the Swivel Mounts. It's one of my favorite upgrades for these. And then Patriot's Fist. This is a Martuk list, and he is sitting on a Munificent Star Frigate as well, with Thermal Shields, Point Defense Ion Cannons, and Link Turbo Laser Tower. So pretty much the same as we just saw. And then another Munificent with Thermal Shields, Point Defense Ion Cannons, and Link Turbo Laser Tower. So a little bit lighter on the upgrades. No hard sell. And instead of the hard sell, it is a fighter ball. This fighter ball consists of most of the CIS aces. You have General Grievous. You have the Phallic AFOC prototypes, PAP. You have Dis, T81, and Hardel Chal prototypes. Hardel Chal prototypes is the one, before an enemy ship or squadron at distance 1 moves, you may perform an attack against that ship or squadron, even if you are engaged. Which you just park it next to a ship, and it allows you to roll a red dice into them, and if it's a hit, it's a hit. If it's not, it's no loss to you. And then the final squadron is a Tri-Fighter. So I haven't used CIS recently, their aces, against like other dedicated fighter balls. So I actually don't know how this would do. I think this is more of, I'm just trying to keep you off of my back fighter ball. But it would be interesting to see what you guys think of that. For objectives, he has close range intel sweep, asteroid tactics, and infested fields. So the close range is the one that you spend accuracies to gain 10 points. Asteroid tactics, you have the Extragoths to deal with enemy fighters and regen your tokens, which is useful when your Munificents are going to be probably spending their braces to use thermal shields. And then infested fields, you have enough fighters to land on the obstacles to gain your tokens, so you don't have to run over them. And then they can be moved in front of the other player to drop stuff on them. So what's your guys' thoughts on this list?
I like the fireball. I think you have 5 dedicated anti-fighters. And so that's probably what you need if you're going to run a medium squad ball. It probably, frankly, has to be dedicated to killing other fighters. You can't run, bombers, as a medium squad ball. I think so. If the other player didn't bring, fighters for some reason, there's enough black dice. There's 4 black dice that you're throwing here that you might do some damage. And Heart Troll would probably get to proc twice, I'd think, a turn. So maybe you get lucky. But I wouldn't, I don't think he's counting on that for sure. But I think it holds up. Grievous is nasty, Grievous is really good. He can really put out some big time damage, and he's not going to die for a while with screen. So I like it. It's good to see. I think this is probably the heaviest CIS squad ball that I think we've seen kind of do well, I think, in a while.
Yeah. Most of the time we're seeing Martuk only ship fleets. So
yeah,
it is nice to see a squadron ball in here. Also, Grievous is a great finisher. Like after all your Tri-Fighters go in and all the tokens are done, and he just comes in and wrecks as the finishing blow.
In the 3 lists we've seen so far, we've only seen 2 points a bid total. I'll just say that.
Isn't that also?
Yeah. Don't care. The squadron's cool because it's the Tri-Fighters, but you move in, you keep the I can't ever say these. The prototype Tri-Fighter, the one with snipe, or whichever one has snipe, and then it hangs back, it shoots. You send up the 2 vultures with Grievous so that he gets his screen, and then the DIS hits again. It's just with that ability that, after an enemy squadron ends the activation, it's 1. So if you're not sniping, you're causing damage, kind of like Mauler Mythal or Sinterfell, and then it's good. It's gonna be a problem for whoever approaches it, whatever Squad Ball does. I like it, especially the sniper.
To take this Squad Ball out, you have to come in and have a plan on how to engage it. It's kind of like when you're engaging Valen and Sienna. Like, you could just throw yourself into it, and it's not going to end well because you're just going to get shot a lot. But, like, if you can position it by locking them down to then come in at the side to kill Valen and then kill Sienna, you can do it. It's just you're going to have to put some brain power into doing that. And all these fighters here demand that you think about them and your course of attack to take them out.
Yeah, the counter, scatter, and its previous screen is just going to eat your dice.
Yes.
And then your own health.
Yes. So, what objective would you take against this fleet?
Well,
back here.
I think I would take close range intel scan. It's a red dice fleet. Having 2 dust fields out there is nice. Maybe you can, depending on what your type of fleet is, use those to kind of maneuver in and out. If it was a Kraken fleet, a CIS Kraken fleet, I would not take close range intel scan. I've made that mistake before because they're just plugging out accuracies all the time. I think here there's enough chance that you're not going to double up on the accuracies that they're not going to score too much against you. So that's probably where I'd land. Asteroid Tactics doesn't seem quite right to me here to take. It seems like it really would benefit them.
Garrett, how about you?
Yeah, close range intel scan. Especially if I'm bringing squadrons, I don't want to deal with his Exegors, which can be really annoying, especially with infested fields. And then on the Asteroid Tactics, he's just going to keep getting back his scatters if he plays it right. Because I think first player can't get back scattered. Second player can.
I don't think anyone can get scatter back. I honestly think this is to land munificence on the asteroids and regen your braces.
That's true. But I think I'm going to limit the damage to myself with close range intel scan, and they're going to really have to want to give up an accuracy to get a victory token. So, and I'm not. I mean, you as first player are probably not going to get a victory token, but
unless you roll like 5 accuracies and you're like, well, this is a dead attack. Yeah. I'll get rid of 2 and get 10 points.
I guess I've had some spats where I roll like 4 accuracies. I guess I would take them.
I've had a bad experience recently with close range intel scan or with CIS Kraken. I'll just say that it was eye opening. So it's a powerful. If you're rolling accuracies, it's a powerful objective. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
Coming sometime soon on the channel, Ion Radio, you're going to witness me with Patriot's Fist roll in nothing but accuracies. So you have that to look forward to. How many tokens can I get for that? I think it was like 6 accuracies. And I'm like, thanks, guys. Thanks. They're like, but we hit it. It's really accurate.
It's accurate.
I will double accuracy all your defense tokens. Yeah, no, I would very much so choose close range intel scan as well. And I think as a whole, like with it primarily being red dice, I think it's going to be a challenge to, as second player, to score points off of that. And as first player, like I would rather just use my accuracy against you than try to get 2 to score it. So like I guess if I roll 2 and they're not going to do anything, then I'll score 10 points. But for the most part, I feel like 10 points isn't, I say this and then it would be a lot, but I feel like the 10 points isn't going to matter in the long run compared to asteroid tactics or untested fields, especially like, so the only other squadrons that we've seen so far in the top have been rogue squadrons, which hate Exergoths because they shut them off and then they don't get activated and they're stuck there and then they'll probably eat it the next turn as well. And then most of the factions like the Imperial have moved very much toward rogue, and then like new things like Vader is rogue, and the Rebels are very much so living in a rogue world right now. So both of those objectives are very bad for meta fleets for both of them. So I would probably just take close range intel suite.
Good meta call.
So, yeah, but like if his fighters are mainly there just to deal with fighters, both those objectives is like I'm going to pin you down and then let Extragoths finish you off. So I think that would work very well. Maybe Grievous just, takes the damage and then finishes them off after they've activated. So, okay, I think that's it for my fleet. It's interesting how this is so similar, even with like Swivel, which is an upgrade that you see very often, to the previous CIS fleet.
Yeah, I think it just goes to show you that, like, I think people have kind of figured out the Star Frigate build. It's thermals, PDIC, make it super tough, and then sprinkle in your Link Turbo Laser towers for crazy flak, and then maybe another officer here or there. But like that's kind of the standard build. I feel like for the Star Frigates, it's strong. I mean, it's a good ship.
Yes, it is. Okay.
TRC 90.
What's that?
I said it's their version of the TRC 90.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Staple.
Yeah.
Staple it on there.
It's like I know I've seen it sometimes in like X-Wing like unofficial prizes when they just print the upgrades on like a nice big card because this is the upgrades that's always equipped to it. Like you could do that with CR90s, TRCs, and you can do it pretty much with Munificence as well. So we're going to go back to Ryan, and he's going to talk about the winning list.
All right, so this is Jay Palmeni was the winner of the Battle for Hoth. He went 5-0 with an impressive 41 tournament points. So I don't know, was that eight? Someone quickly do the math on the top of your is that 8 points around averaging or somewhere around there. Jay's from Texas. He's a really, really, really good player. Always does well in our TTS tournaments. I talked to him a little bit about his list. It is a double onager list. And I'm going to go through it. And I just want to preface it by saying, I think these are the alpha onagers here. This is the onager that I fear. I generally onagers don't worry me too much, but this is the version. This is the alpha onager, the alpha predator, the Godzilla onager, I think. So like, I'll just go through it now. It's test beds, 2 test beds. It's got Ramadi, intel officer paired with sensor team, veteran gunners and engine techs, and then the red beam. The second test bed is intel officer, gunnery chief Farnillion, veteran gunners, engine techs, red beam, and cataclysm. 2 Gazantes, one with Vader Comsnet, the other with Hondo to get the cataclysm off and Comsnet. And then squadrons, a Lambda, which we never see outside of Moralo, so that's always something crazy. And then your anti-fighter squads, Tel, Valen, and Sienna to try to buy you, a turn or 2 of anti-squad. So if you get lucky, 3 turns of anti-squad. So, but this is a nasty. This is the worst onagers. This is everything people hate about onagers. And I think it's 2 things. It's the engine techs, which is an underrated part of onagers, because they can go up to speed 4. And a speed 4 onager will take your shots, steal the paint, and then run away, and you're not going to be in a position to chase it down. It's a build of 393 as well. I should highlight that. He said he's comfortable going first or second with the fleet, and he would just. I think he said it would just depend whether he take first or second on the matchup. Anyone want to talk about the intel officer sensor team?
You're not spending
brutal.
defense tokens. Gosh dang.
Yeah, having full rerolls with veteran gunners and sensor team and intel officer, you have a lot going for you. And then like you can just double do this into the same ship. So that ship's dying. It goes into what I had already talked about with what the limits on an onager are. And this starts to bypass those limits, and then you have 2 of them. Mm-hmm. It's probably going to still take 2 shots to kill a large ship, which is still very, very strong. but now you almost guarantee doing that each turn. So there's a dead fleet against you by turn 3. Yikes.
There was one rules interaction, and I could be getting it wrong because I am not the best with the rules, but I think he said that you could intel officer and then Darth Vader. So you could intel officer, a ship's brace, choke out the intel officer, and get to reroll the dice with Vader. So you still get to use the benefit of intel officer on the
Yeah, that's correct, because intel officers, after you roll your first dice, you declare it, and then you do rerolls.
Yes. Yeah.
So I just thought that was kind of a neat little combo that I had not thought of before.
The first time I saw this done, I saw it done at LVO. Don't quote me. I believe it was a gentleman named Paul. Not LVO. It was Nova. Paul was running a Super Star Destroyer, and he did this. It was like one of those brutal shots. He did this against like an IS, because at the time it was mainly Sloan 2 ship. So he would roll in his entire attack pool. He would intel officer your brace off the ISD, and then he would toss a Confire in with Ravager to add more dice into it, and then he would toss intel officer out the airlock and then re-roll everything. So it's gonna hurt really, really bad. So, and it had like XI7, so like you couldn't even really use a redirect. So if you did decide to brace, you're just dead the next turn.
Yeah, he won Nova with that, didn't he? The SSD, or did well with it at least.
He did well with that. I think top 4.
I think that's right. He got to the second day, I think. I don't want his flight, I feel like.
Matthew's Thrawn list that was like no squadrons is the one that ended up winning. And I believe then Nick, one of the local guys from Chicago, was playing 2 ship, and I believe he took second. He might have taken third. I mean, at this point, it's been like 4 years ago. So.
Right. That fleet is still. I mean, that fleet still is nasty. If it's the right matchup.
Yes.
But anyway, get back to Jay. I do want to point out Varnilion's interesting too, because it gives you a little second player insurance. Usually, like I said, onagers want to go first, but just in case, it's great as second player because you get to start with the die of any face that you want, paired with veteran gunners. You're just stacking up the damage, and you're using your Cazares to obstruct your shots probably, and you're just not going anywhere. And then when someone finally gets close to you, they engine tech away. I think that is my thing. It's the speed 4 onager. It's just that gets me. I don't mind them too much, but that seems a little much.
Yeah. Also, what's interesting about the engine tech is more than likely you're just stacking nav because you want to use the engine tech, or you're having tokens thrown to you to use engine tech. So you can go speed 0 and still move 1 to kind of stay where you need to be. And then you can go from 0 to 1 with a token and then engine tech. So you're really 2. So how fast you go from 0 up to the theoretical 4 is very quick. And so like you jump over speeds to get to speed. So you go from 0 to 2 and then to 4 very quickly. So you're where you're at and then you're just gone.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, so his objectives were most wanted, planetary ion cannon, and infested fields.
Those are all not fun. Before we jump there, I'm going to talk about his squadrons real fast. And this is, the Lambda's just there so then he can try to control tokens, so you can't like just farm tokens on him. And Lambdas paired with Valen are not fun because there's 6 hull to chew through on a heavy squadron that you don't want to shoot at anyway. And just having it around, like being engaged with it, it's throwing 2 blacks at you. Lambdas actually do decent damage consistently. Like 2 points of extra damage for no reason is not something that most squadrons want to be taking when you're locked into this squadron ball of Sienna's probably going to be countering you. You have to kill Tell first, and then the Lambda's just there protecting Valen. And then also the Lambda allows him to relay to his squadrons with his Gazantes, so he can have them very far away from his Gazantes and still be able to command his squadrons around.
And that his second objectives there, planetary ion cannon. Landman gets to move that around, do 4 damage potentially, straight to the hull, or I guess to one shield zone. So that's a nice little use of it too if he's going second.
Yeah, that is correct as well. I don't know. None of these are good. I guess I would probably take... I don't know. Planetary Ion and hope I have fighters to avoid the Ion getting moved into me by the Lambda. Infested Fields he'll come out on top of, and then he'll obstruct his shots, and Exargoth, so if you have fighters, they'll try to stop him. Most Wanted just seems like a really, really bad idea in this case. So. But Planetary does as well.
Because Most Wanted just picks it off, right? He just picks off whatever your ship is and runs away.
Yes.
8-3, right? Like, easy 8-3.
And then even if you somehow get your Most Wanted ship over toward the Gazantes, like Gazantes now are throwing 2 dice at you. And if they're obstructed, 3. Which is brutal. So
yeah. Not to sound pessimistic, but I mean, I'd take Planetary Ion Cannon because, I mean, even if let's say he takes the blue crit, I'm not going to be using my defense tokens anyways. Right? So who cares? And there's a chance he might just roll some accuracies, and then you're golden. And
True.
The other ones, you're guaranteed screwed. At least Planetary Ion Cannon, there's a chance. Nobody got that chance, obviously. Like everyone lost. So I don't know. Planetary Ion Cannon all day. Just, and you're not spending defense tokens. Just, I don't know. This fleet's a problem. I don't know how to fly against this fleet. I just don't. It would destroy me thoroughly.
Yeah, the only attack you're using defense tokens on is the ion cannon attack.
Yeah, I think I do the ion cannon, and just, I'm sure I'd have to fly around the ions, and he'll get my ships where I want them to be, and then he'll blast them, and it'll be a great game. So, I think that's where but I fly like a lot of MSU, and it's just like MSU can kind of take on double onager to some, if you're bringing MC30s or CR90s, but not with PIC. Because you're taking stuff that could, do some real hard damage to your fleet. So,
yeah,
it's brutal. I'd probably take ion cannon for sure, though.
Yeah, it's just not a good choice. Make him go first, and then you don't have to pick his stuff. But he gets that choice usually with 7-point bid.
I think what he'll do is he'll move the Lambda onto obstacles. So it's like, I'll just lock down the Lambda. But no, he's not going to do that. He's going to move his Lambda around obstacles, moving the token each time. So you can't lock it down. You're wasting your shots shooting a 6 health Lambda, So it's a really well constructed list. Congrats to Jay. He's a good list, great player too.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that it seems like in our episodes and in tournaments as a whole, it basically goes, onagers are broken. The answer is agate, and agate's broken. To right back to onagers are broken, and then agate's broken. So we have this continuing cycle of who's showing up with what type of list is what's winning it, is what I feel like. And then somewhere now, CIS and GAR are climbing up. CS can definitely hang. There's players that got into the top of Adepticon, top 8 with the CIS, and here the second and third place are CIF. So CIS is making a break into the top. Now we need to see Gar, but I still feel like it's just a rotation of Onager, Agate, Onager, Agate, Onager, Agate. So hopefully when you go to your next tournament, you can guess which of those 2 cycles it is, so you can play in that meta.
Yeah, so we'll see what people bring, to Gen Con or whatnot. And that's kind of like, if you're going to a big tournament and you've got to be prepared to deal with them in one form or another. Whether it's onagers, you got to have an answer to them. You got to, whether that be thermal shields or some fleet ships with lots of evades or something. If it's Agate, I'm still working on the answer to Agate, because I'm still working on that. But I think it's boarding troopers, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm making it work. I will say, like, this is before rapid reinforcements, so in my play lately, I've seen a lot more Gar, because I think people love Anakin. He's super fun to play with, and he's awesome.
Paired with the right, I do kickback, axe, and Ahsoka. It's an absolute monster.
Yeah,
just eats through any squad ball.
So I think this tournament that we're talking about didn't have that. So I think that's something to be on the lookout for, because Republic does have answers to some of this. A flight controller Anakin is absurd. It's just, if you put flight controllers on him, throwing 3 blues, 2 blacks, it is a nasty business. I took a whole Yularen squad ball alpha when someone the other day threw 7 squads at me. At Anakin, supported by Axe, and Anakin was fine. He only had like 2 health left at the end of it, and he only died.
It's my turn now.
Right. Well, he only died because he finally was like, "Well, I guess I'll throw my own Anakin in there," and then he nuked him. Anakin, So it's just something I expect to see that. It's going to be fun to see, and I still think there's a separatist squadron out there that didn't come out with rapid reinforcements. I gotta feel, I'm not a playtester or anything. It's just
Fett.
I hope Darth Maul. That's what I hope. There's something out there. Every other faction got a new squadron to play with. What is the separatist? Where is that one? So.
Yeah. I'm gonna have you guys hold on one second. I'm gonna go grab something and show it to the people that are watching our thing, and then I'll describe it to you. Give me 1 second.
What was I going to say?
So you've been playing around with Lumi?
Man, I've had so much fun with Luminara. It's so frustrating to people, because I'm like, thermal shields.
I am back. And
back. Okay.
I grabbed this. So this last weekend was the Chicago Open, and one of the players, Jack, he makes custom cards. And part of the prize support, he made a bunch of the rapid reinforcement cards, and he made them like foil, like the awesome Pokemon cards. So I got this bad boy, which is a foiled Anakin card.
That is super neat.
I know. I saw it from across the room. I'm like, I'm gonna take that one. Like Hera, Vader, okay, but I know out of all 3 of those, this guy is gonna hit the table the most. So
yeah, that's awesome.
And then shout out to Garrett. He made these really cool command dials. And so there's like the Chicago Armada, so it's the Chicago flag with crit symbols instead of stars. And then it's nice and magnetic. I didn't use it yet because I usually take anything that they give as prizes and just shove it in my bag so I don't lose it. So I'm looking forward to using this, because I only got one, probably on like a flotilla or something like that. So
yeah, you guys got the prototypes. My next iteration, I did. You know how it's kind of hard to turn the circle in the back. This next one, I put what's it called, gears on it.
We're doing a very visual podcast right now. So
yeah, it's just great radio. This is
well, we're describing it quite well.
Everybody. I'm just so excited about it. I don't know, but yeah, it's got gears on it, so it's like you can actually grab onto it.
Nice.
Next generation command.
Yeah, let's go to the Frontline Gaming's Lone Star Open.
Nice. Yeah, so check out those. I think they're cool because they're really flat. So they're only like, I and now I'm going to describe it to you. We're going to see how well I can do radio. Maybe like a quarter of an inch, so like just under like a centimeter, like half a centimeter.
They're 6 millimeters thick.
Yeah.
So, roughly, because it depends. But yeah, they're pretty neat. Right now, I'm just doing them as a tournament exclusive thing. So.
Ooh. So get to your local tournaments, because Admiral Tater Shop pretty much supplies all the supplies for all the tournaments.
Yeah, I try. If you reach out to me, I've got something if somebody reaches out to me. So.
Exactly. So I think that wraps up the Battle of Hoth, and like in Empire Strikes Back, the Empire won. So we'll have to see, because one of the next one's going to be the attack on Endor, correct?
Yeah, that'll be our next big TTS major.
So will the Rebels be able to come back in that? Or will we finally see the Gar break through into the top 4?
I was going to say, I want to see one Venator in the top 4 at least. They're 5th here, right? They made it 5th.
I think this is the second time the second time that they've come like 5th-ish in our discussion, because they just always miss the cutoff for
Anakin's gonna push him over that top. They're gonna get there.
They might.
Yeah, Anakin's like, you look at his card and you're like, that seems good, and then you play him and you're like, that's way better than it originally looked like on the card.
So good. Oh man, and the dodge. Oh my god.
The dodge at the end
is just icing on the cake.
The dodge just makes it ridiculous, because it's just like got thrown in there. Like let's just give him dodge. That's a force power kind of proxy, and then he just like dodge that. Anakin axe this, brace it to 1. Sorry, you threw 5 dice. But
so funny. They get so excited because they'll roll a hit and a scatter. And they'll be like, scatter. I'm like, no, re-roll.
Right, and then you're playing like Luminara or something. All right, we'll bring back the scatter. You attack. Like it's just absurd.
Yeah, it's brutal. Especially with Ahsoka, like the two of them, it just seems like so thematic, like playing in the Clone Wars when you're flying around and Ahsoka's like, shoot that person next, and then she finishes them off. Like, man, you can like wipe out a full squad ball, like if it's just generics, like in 2 activations, because Anakin comes in, kills 1 squadron, splashes it to the other ones. Ahsoka comes in, has Anakin finish off one of them, and then Ahsoka finishes off the next. So that's like 3 squadrons dead with 2 activations. Like, it's absurd. So, yeah, I really hope we get to talk actually about Anakin in a list instead of just us talking about hoping Anakin's getting to a list. So, okay, so we haven't done it yet, but where can we find our stuff, Ryan?
All right, so the podcast is on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. We have the Ion Radio version on YouTube to check out and watch the videos, so you can see us break down the command stacks that Garrett has, or see the foil for Anakin. It's really cool. You should watch it. I post every now and then on Twitter. It's just @command stack, so check us out there. And then you can check out our email, which is command.stack.podcast@gmail.com. Still waiting for that first email, so let me come in. So
yeah. If you guys have any questions or comments or anything like that, we would love to be able to answer your comments and things like that on the podcast. So send us a question.
We're also on the Ion Radio Discord. We have a channel dedicated just to the podcast. So, if there's something that's another way of easy feedback, I check it all the time. So, feel free to post about what you think.
Sounds good. Okay. I think the next one we're going to be covering will probably be either UK or Germany. It might also be Gen Con, depending on when we can get together. So there's lots of tournaments that are taking place in the future or have just shortly taken place. So we will be bringing you much more content.
I do have my interview with Jay that'll be coming out. The winner of Battle for Hoth will be coming out after this as well. So that'll be I don't know, I think episode 4.5 or something like that.
We do like the half episodes. So, okay, until next time, I'm John.
I'm Garrett.
And I'm Ryan.
And this has been the Command Stack.